Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If you haven't, my name is Mazzy and I am making a video today about 5 tips I have for doing college with a chronic illness. So my first tip is to come prepared. This is outside of school supply related prepared. This, in my case, has been bringing an extra liter of fluids with me to school so that I can switch to my second liter while I'm out and about. It may look like bringing extra medical supplies or medications in case I forget them on my way out the door one morning. This also means for someone who maybe does not have as many medical device reliant conditions, that might look like bringing extra fluids, just regular drinking fluids with you through the day, bringing salty snacks with you if you have POTS to make sure that your blood pressure doesn't tank, and that you're not passing out on campus, because that would not be fun. If you use AFOs or braces or anything remotely related to that, those are also very important. So finding ways to get braces and stuff to fit into your shoes, because if you have a very I hate to say it, but very ableist campus. I know mine is kind of ableist. You do have the option to take elevators, but it's hills and hills and stairs, and if you go an alternative route, it takes a lot longer to get to where you need to be. This might also look like having a backpack that not only has the capability of holding school supplies, but also to hold whatever medical equipment you might need. So maybe that looks like carrying 2 different bags, whether it be 2 that can hold the same volume of things, or maybe one is dedicated to medical things and the other is dedicated to school things. So mostly the first one is just like, your body. Be prepared to take care of your body, not at home. My second tip is to get in contact with DSS and figure out some accommodations. I know I personally have ×2 for test taking, so if you're unaware, that means if the whole class gets 1 hour to take a test, I get to take 2 hours for the test because of my medical conditions. But for my personal school, you have to set up that time extension with the DSS office. You cannot take that test in your classroom with other classmates if you take a longer period of time. And I don't know if that's how it is for all schools. That's just how it is in mine. So you have to schedule with the testing center through DSS if you're going to use a time extension. And I typically don't, just because it's a little bit out of the way. Through DSS, I also get time extensions with work, and that's just general schoolwork. I do get accommodations as long as I have a doctor's note. So if I were to be admitted to the hospital, then I get to have that conversation with my professors just regarding like what time period seems appropriate, and like where the line is drawn. Like, where is it just not okay to not turn in the work after this point? Or some people might use an accommodation such as having someone in the classroom take notes for them, or having access to recorded lectures so that they can be referred back to, but also you're not going to quote unquote like miss the information if you have to leave the room to go to the restroom or to the nurse, or just to step out and get a breather if you're feeling overwhelmed. That type of situation is something you can also go through DSS to figure out. My third is to map out your campus in relation to your classrooms and restrooms. So I know it really helped me to actually be on campus to figure these things out, because looking at the map was not helpful. I was provided a digital map of the campus, but I could not find my way around whatsoever until I was on campus and could figure out and orient myself within the campus. And so, for example, the parking lot that I was parking in the first day was all the way across campus from the class that I needed to be going to. So the next time I went, I was able to choose the other parking structure so that I was closer, literally up the elevator to my classroom, and that was basically it. This year, I have figured out that all of my classes are pretty much in a cohort next to a different parking lot, so I'll choose that other parking lot so I'm not walking across campus. Like I said, 15,000 flights of stairs. Nobody has time for that, especially when you have chronic illness. So, park closer to where your classes are. This was also helpful in helping get a basic understanding of how the buildings at my school are set up and where I can assume a bathroom will be at any given time. If I can't actually find one, of course the map that I have will plan that out, and then if it really came down to it, you can ask your professor, like, hey, I need to use the restroom, which one is closest? I haven't been here before, that type of thing. Which kind of leads into my next one, is to have open dialogue with your professors as well as your classmates. So when you inform your professor about your illness or whatever issues you might be having, it helps them get a better understanding of where you are in terms of physically and mentally. So maybe you're physically in class, but mentally you're not present within the classroom. And that could be for a variety of reasons. Of course, you want to walk into a classroom and not have like the baggage that you're carrying with you follow you in, but unfortunately sometimes that's how it is. And if you can have that open conversation with your professor, say, I do have accommodations, these are what they are, I'm looking forward to taking your class, but I have a few things that I would like to inform you of from my end of things. That's when you can talk to your professor about your DSS accommodations, and they are required to follow them. I'm not sure if they sign a contract with you personally, but once you hand them your letter, your accommodation letter, they are not legally allowed to deprive you of those things on your list. It also helps to get connected to a classmate or two on the first day, whether it's setting up a Discord or actually exchanging phone numbers or WhatsApp or whichever service you'd like to use, but can be incredibly helpful if you miss, for whatever reason, class, and maybe the recorded lectures are helping, but not quite as much as speaking to someone about whatever you're learning would. And that way you have a resource. Hey, what did I miss today? Can you help me with this assignment? Do you have any tips on helping memorize this information that I maybe missed from not being in class? Was there anything that was mentioned that is not on the recorded lecture type situation? And it's really great to even just get a small cohort so that you can work together on things that maybe it's not, you're not allowed to like work as a group, but maybe help each other come up with a few ideas of what might help get through an assignment. And I think connecting with classmates is good even to make sure that going forward in your education you might see a few familiar faces, and it makes it all a little bit less awkward. Is to not only my fifth tip is to keep in mind your personal usable hours as well as making sure you're resting. Usable hours is a term that I prefer over the spoon theory. I can't really apply the spoon theory to myself. I just don't understand it, if I'm honest. Like, I've read about it. I know the general idea of it. I don't know how to apply it to my own condition and how I feel on any given day in terms of how many spoons I have or don't have. It just doesn't click in my brain. What does click is usable hours. I have X number of usable hours in the day. If I need to be able to be attentive and stuff, like I need to use my usable hour window to take my classes and to do my schoolwork. And that way I'm also allowing my body to rest when it needs to rest, but I'm getting schoolwork done. I'm working hard to get to the end product. I have a goal in sight that I'm working towards, and it's working school into your body's rhythm is really what it comes down to. It's listening to your body. It's okay to drop a class if you get there and you're like, oh my Lanta, this is too much. That's fine. It's being honest with yourself though, and like, hey, I can't handle that right now, but maybe if I take 1 or 2 classes versus 4 classes, it might be a little bit more manageable. It also is important to keep in mind that there is no set timeline. I know that even with myself, I have a really, really hard time watching high school friends who are thriving, but they're not the ones who have been in survival mode for the last 4 years. Like, I've been in survival mode for the last 4 years, and so obviously my peers that I grew up with have an advantage over me, is really what it comes down to. So I think it's so, so important that even if you don't have a chronic illness, you're allowed to not follow the leader. Like, there's no right or wrong way to get through life. There's no right or wrong way to leave high school and start doing your own life. Maybe it does look like college. Maybe it looks like taking a gap year. Maybe it looks like I'm going to work on a CNA, a straight thing out of high school, and then that way I'm like already working and I can go back to school in the meantime. It looks different for everyone. I think that's the most important part. And it's also really important to know that if you're not telling people how you feel, nobody knows. So everyone expects you to live and function the way that a quote-unquote normal person would function. But if you have a disability, you can't act like someone who doesn't have a disability. It just does not correlate well. I know there are people out there who may have chronic illness and it does not impact their life as much, or they're working past wherever they are in their journey, but it's important to also respect what your body's telling you. If it's telling you you can push through this, then it's all on you. Like, if you want to push that, go for it. But it can become dangerous when you think that you have to push through when you don't. And so I guess the main point I am trying to get across is you're your own best advocate, and no one but you knows what it feels like to live in your body. So no one can really tell you the right way to do it. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any additional tips for anyone, please leave them in the comments. I'm sure someone else will benefit from them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do have more videos coming out. Like it will say at the end of this, I release videos every Monday. So I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.